Hello, and welcome to St. Jude in Five-ish. Today we will find out more about St. Jude's unique culture. I first came to St. Jude more than 5 years ago with very little experience in healthcare and certainly no clinical background. Yet the St. Jude family welcomed me with open arms and have continued to embrace, support, and teach me along the way. I now know the difference between an MRI and a CT scan. With us today is St. Jude's Chief Executive, Brian Helleland. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Heather.
Brian, we often refer to the St. Jude culture. Can you tell me a little bit about what culture is?
Absolutely. I think culture is so unique and such a critical part of an organization. We do get asked about our unique culture all the time, and I think it is just the way we live at St. Jude. It's our day in, day out, work day, how we relate to each other, and just the aspect of coming to work and enjoying what you do, but also enjoying who you do it with and why you're doing it. And it's a great part, and we can't dictate it. It kind of just naturally happens, and that's what's so cool about culture, is that it happens by itself.
I hear visitors and families all the time talk about, the St. Jude culture, and they talk about the warmth that they feel when they walk in the door and this family vibe. What do you think makes St. Jude's culture unique?
I think a good part of the uniqueness that I focus on is it's this balance. We have this balance between what we hear all the time, that we have a family environment, and there's a comfort to that. There's an ease to that, and almost a casualness to it. But we also balance that with this commitment, this passion for excellence, and that balance is what's unique. We can enjoy each other and create that family atmosphere, but at the same time, we're driving a very high-performing organization with great results.
So it's kind of that balance between the informal and the formal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say the second part is the engagement aspect of our culture. It is truly driven by our caregivers, our volunteers, our physicians. That level of engagement, your culture is going to come to life when you have such high engagement, because there's that many more people contributing to the culture of the organization.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I first noticed about St. Jude's culture was sort of all of the fun activities, everything from, March Madness to, free hot dogs to salsa contests and the sports leagues. Is that by design?
It's definitely intentional. I don't know how much of design, but it's intentional. We work in a very stressful industry. We work in a stressful environment, and I don't mean stressful all the time, but it is important. It's serious. We are taking care of very very sick patients with a lot of serious illnesses. So that's the core of what we do. And we don't want to take away from that and distract from it. But at the same time, we're an employer. And we need to be a great place to work. We need to allow people to de-stress, rejuvenate, replenish, and how we can do all those things with offerings that we have, programs that we do, and celebrations, recognition events. That's the piece that makes it fun. From a leadership team, the way I message it is embrace the fun. And you've got to find a way that you're comfortable with the fun, and not that it's inappropriate, because it's obviously it has to make sense. It has to work for what we're doing. But think of it from that perspective, is embrace the fun.
And so if a caregiver was interested in getting more involved in some of those activities, what would be a good place to start, or where would be a good place to start?
I think actually on the activity piece of it, we've got a lot of opportunities. We've got the employee committees. We do have shared governance. We have a lot of departmental activities, both performance improvement activities from a work environment perspective, but also the team activities that a lot of the departments are doing just to celebrate and recognize and enjoy spending time together. There's a lot of ways to be involved, that both straight work improvement, but also just socially as well. So that's the main areas I would say. And we also do have our caregiver engagement survey, which is what we really look at a lot. We look at that from a leadership perspective. That's something that tells us what we can do better. But the other part I love about the caregivers, it's a way for our caregivers to show their pride in their teams and their departments, and that their level of engagement is very high in what they do specifically with inside of their environment, their department, their unit, whatever it may be. So that's also a way to give feedback and be involved in a more formal way than a lot of the other activities that we do. And
I hear the kickball league is quite impressive also.
They are impressive. There's definitely some glory days revisited, I think, for folks, and there's definitely some also wannabe athletes out there too. But I think it's entertaining nonetheless.
We won't name names. Now, speaking of embracing the fun, today we have a new segment called Thank You Notes. And so, Brian, if you want to kick that off.
I will. Thank you, Jennifer Bordwick and Rosa Castillo, for identifying a problem, suggesting a solution, and helping me see that one process does not always fit all. You were right. Thank you, Michelle Kyle, for reminding me just how dull my vacations are. I cannot wait to hear about your Germany adventure. Thank you, Anthony Areola and Heather Hassinger, for helping me continue to be a Vikings fan, despite my frustration from time to time. After all, it's not as bad as being a Raiders fan.
Thank you, Brian. That was really fun. And that concludes this episode of St. Jude and Five-ish. In the weeks to come, we will be collecting stories from you to share your personal experience of St. Jude culture. Please be on the lookout in SJ Today for information. Thank you for watching.